everyone, and welcome to another episode of Voicing Artists Original Characters. We're going to get right into it today. The artist that we are working with here today is named Pim, pronouns they, she. They have given us a character named April. Now, April has a tiny bit of backstories and details, so let me give that to you now. April is a university student, a college student for those in the US, and the money that they earn from their menial labor jobs goes towards their savings so that they can earn up while they're still a student. And they like to thrift clothing from different places, and that's how they get most of their outfits. Now, that's all that I have that isn't character personality traits based. So, in other words, April is a typical university student. They act the same way, they're a little poor, they do a regular job, and they thrift their clothes for a cool style. So we're not working with anything fantastical or sci-fi or horror or anything of those natures. We are working in the general human world with a general human person. So I think that's going to be fun to try and create scenarios here that fit more for this atmosphere. We don't often play with just regular people, so it'll be a little interesting to pull from maybe our own experience or a typical life of a student like this and try and use those everyday emotions into April. Now, I do have some character personality traits that were given to me by Pim, the artist, so let's go through those. The character personality traits they gave me are prideful, very competitive, does not hold back their anger when they are disrespected, a big heart, generous, and caring. Now, I love these combined with each other, and you guys know why, because when you're making a character and you want them to be more relatable and more human, you have to add the, in quotes, negative traits along with the positive ones. So adding these things like prideful, very competitive, and does not hold back their anger when they're disrespected are really good to have, especially for that anger emotion, which we will get to. But they are good to have because they will give us more insight into how those play into her other emotions and how they affect her decision-making in everyday life as a person in general. And then, of course, the big heart, the generous, and the caring means that she's not always this super forceful, I need to win, I am good at this thing person. She does care about other people, and she does want them to be happy. And so these things still matter to her everyday choices and what she will do for her friends and the people that she cares about. I like the very competitive aspect because the idea that it goes with her being a good friend and being a caring friend is something we don't always see often. We often see competitive as like a negative thing, but sometimes it's really good to be competitive because it motivates you to do better. And that competitive spirit can also motivate the people you're against, which might be your friends, to try harder. And it acts as a motivation tool for not just yourself to improve your own life and your own personality and your own skills, but to be able to look at all your friends and be like, you've got this. I know you can do this. Let's do it together. Let's win, right? And that's a really good spirit to bring to people and a way to humanize competitiveness that doesn't make it seem so negative in its own trait. Now let's go into some things that I see about this drawing here. Some of the things that I see when I look at this drawing of April are casual, laid back, fun. She gives me very skater girl vibes, which in my mind mean that people see her as like a very cool, very talented person, but still a bit of an outcast. Skater girls were often the ones that were dressed a little more grungy. They were the side of fashion that wasn't necessarily trendy, but still was a little bit like, wow, that looks so cool. It's a little out there. It's a little weird. They were still considered people that weren't the popular scene, but they were the respectable side because they're a little sporty and they're kind of attractive because they're a little sporty and like good with more of the nuanced areas like skateboarding and designing and things like that. So that's sort of the vibe that she gives me. The outcast crowd might be more of her friends, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's so far outcast to where she's picked on. She would still be relatively liked, I think. She also gives me very people person energy. So what I mean by that is She is not someone who strikes me as wanting to be alone or solitary or by herself at any point in the day. Even the small smirk that she has on her face here, the way she's sort of posed, leaning almost to one side. And for a second there, I even thought her shoes were like rollerblade style shoes. They're not, but she very much gives me that energy of hands in her pockets, leaning over, like, yeah, it's cool. Everything's fine. These are my friends. All I do every day is like I hang out with people and it's whatever. That's sort of the energy I'm getting from her. And I think that fits well with what the artist gave us for character traits as well, because they said big heart, generous, and caring, and they also said very competitive. So I think if we consider her someone who, when they get a break from work or a break from school, their first choice is going to be go hang out at the playground or go hang out in the park or smoke weed with her friends or go get a drink at the bar, I think those are going to be her first options, whereas other people might be like, I need a nap or I just want to chill at home and watch movies. She is very much the, no, let's go do things. Let's be friends. Let's hang out together. And I think that adds to the competitive spirit where she would be the one who is like holding a Super Smash Bros. Party and she's like, okay, everybody come over and I'm gonna kick all your asses, but like we're gonna have a fun time eating pizza and drinking while we do it. That is the energy that April gives me and I love that. It's fun when you get sort of the comedic, angsty person who isn't negative. They're very positive. They're very much the life of the party. I think the laid back and the life of the party qualities are also shown a lot into her clothes, and you can see that sort of in how big this hoodie is on her. She specifically chose a piece, a hoodie, a jacket, that was way too big, lounges, sits down low, has a belt around it, but the belt isn't actually cinching anything closed. You don't actually need it to hold anything up. It's just sort of a piece that she wears. Very casual, very clumsy, very, it's whatever. That's sort of displayed in her style there, even with the almost leg warmers she has on her calves. They're like gloopy and they fall over a bit. Her hair even is just tied up into a real simple ponytail. It's kind of shaggy. It's kind of all over the place. It's very, yes, I will be the energy of my group of people, but I don't necessarily put effort into doing that. It comes naturally to me to be sort of the positivity and the fun guy. I don't have to work at it. It's just the way that I am. And that's kind of my energy. It's just, okay, cool, whatever. Let's go do a thing. You can see the thrift clothes part being described by the artists. Even in this drawing, they mention street style, which tends to be a very strong thing that goes with more of thrifting clothes. You're sort of mismatching and putting things together. I think that also adds a bit to her outcastness, how she isn't wearing all of the trendy brands and popular names. She's more picking and mixing and matching, but still looks kind of cool from it. She has like a taste and a style. So let's play with that for April, and let's see if we can give her a good neutral line here in sort of that spirit. Hey, hey, hey! What are we doing tonight, guys? We chilling at my place, going to the bar. It doesn't really matter to me, but I will say, if we hit Dave & Buster's, I am creaming you on air hockey, all right? It's already 3-1, and you got lucky last time. So I say we go there so I can show you how a real master plays. Oh, I love that for April. It's very like, yo, I don't care what we do, but we should go here because I'm gonna beat you, right? I love that. Love that, love that, love that. She is such the life of the party. I think that's a great way to describe her. She's the laid back life of the party, so she's not the one chugging like 6 pounds of beer, right? She's not a person in a frat party type of energy. She's the laid back version, but she's still gonna be the one dominating air hockey and buying pizza, maybe bringing pizza with her when she opens the door, right? She brings the speakers with her. She's on the couch with her feet kicked up, that kind of thing. She's the laid back energy of the party, which is kind of weird to have both of those as once, but I think it works for April. I really do. So let's move into her happy emotion. Now, I think happy's going to be relatively simple. I think we go with that carefree, happy-spirited energy where all she's doing is chilling with her buds and having a good time. So let's give it a shot here. Ow, ow, ow! Oh, that's right. Give it to me. Come on, come on. Let's go. Oh, come on. You can try harder than that. You're gonna need a lot more practice if you think you're coming close to my level. Okay. I see ya. I see ya. Bring it on then. Yeah, I think that works for April. She is the hype guy, right? She's very much like on the side going drink, chug, chug, chug. She's the hype person. So a lot of her dialogue, I think we're going to find, is less wordy than some people who are more solitary and more in their head. And I think her dialogue, like we did with Happy, is going to be more about external verbalizations instead of actual words. So for example, there was a lot of laughing, there was a lot of woo woo, right? That kind of noise, because that tends to be how this sort of life of a party person vocalizes. That's how they express themselves. Rather than somebody who's going to give a monologue or going to tell about their feelings, they're more very in tune with just genuine, pure reaction. Whether that comes out in sounds or laughing or crying, it's that noise that gets created from a feeling rather than words and language. So I think we should run with that into all of our emotions, and let's try going forward into it for angry too. Now, that being said, I don't think it would go so far as to where she's throwing a temper tantrum like a child might. They often also don't do very wordy things, as we've played with before, but she is still an adult. She's still a human. And I think the laid-back energy means that she'd be able to have a bit more of a strong but solid angry reaction. Because to get her actually angry, you're gonna need a lot more triggers, a lot more poking and punching and prodding, because she's so laid back, than you might for another character. So I think she's going to be more in our annoyed state. So let's try that for angry. Dude, what the hell? How many times do I have to tell you that's not how the game is played, alright? You can't come in here and just do whatever the hell you want. Ugh! Swear to God, you people don't even listen to me. Ooh. That was an interesting spot for angry to come from. I don't think we've played with that very often. And what I mean by that is, that angry didn't feel like we were speaking to somebody who is necessarily an antagonist to April or to her group of people. It honestly felt more like we were talking to a friend, or to somebody she considers part of her friend group, or will still consider a friend after this event. Almost like this is a moment of anger and they're frustrated and they're lashing out, but in a couple of days, they're going to sit down, they're going to talk it out, they're going to apologize, and they're going to move forward. And I like that for April in particular, because it comes a little bit with the laid back energy where to get them riled up, it's often going to be at a moment when they don't mean to be mean, but that's just the pure feeling of annoyance coming out and sort of lashing out at people. But I also like it because that's how humans and real life works. A lot of the times when we're dealing with characters that are in a non-normal everyday situation or context, it's easy to go, this anger or this sadness is because the villain, the person against them, the antagonist, has done something wrong and they're feeling against them, or they're yelling at them, or they're doing whatever in response to that. But that's not how life works. We don't have antagonists. We might have people we dislike, we might have people we don't get along with, and we might never make up with those people. That's totally fine. But we don't have that one person who is like the villain to our hero, because our lives change, we move forward, circumstances change, people grow and live and do all these things. And I like the idea that we took the anger from a spot that we might see it in normal life, where even our best friend, even people we love and care about, can unknowingly or sometimes purposefully get us to the point where we are like, shut up. Like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I don't want to look at you. I'm angry with you. People we love can do that. And the reason they can do it is because we love them. But often these are the real life scenarios, not just, oh, there's this villain I'm against forever and they're clearly the bad guy. But someone I love and care about, I need them to step away because I'm mad. And I like that human nature of getting to play with that, because we don't get to do that very often. So let's play a bit with sadness here. This is going to be an interesting one. I think we should still go from the idea of keeping it in touch with real life. So, where could sadness come from if we want to keep sort of that reality of every day? I think we're going to take sadness in a bit of a unique direction here. So, when we're doing fantastical scenarios or hero villain eras, sadness often comes from losing a fight or losing a loved one or losing a battle or the villain doing something tragic and you're upset about it. But again, we don't have villains in everyday life. So I think this sadness would come from a situation where April feels like she should have done better. She put effort into something. She tried really, really hard. She worked her ass off, for lack of a better phrase, to be the victor. And every piece of effort that she's put towards this thing that she loves and she enjoys in her life has failed. It hasn't reached the conclusion that she wanted. Maybe she feels like she lost the battle, she lost the tournament. A good example, since she's competitive, maybe she's into a sport like soccer or basketball or something of that nature. And she's been training at it. She loves it. She genuinely put her full force effort in to be the best that she can be, to get better, to not just do it as a hobby, but to actually try and be as good as she can. And she goes into some sort of competition or tournament, and she doesn't do as well as she wanted to do. For whatever reason, she doesn't make it nearly as high as she should have for all of the work and the effort and the time and the energy that she has put into training and into this passion of hers. And I think in a hero-villain fictional scenario, this might make someone angry. But I think in a real-life scenario, it would make us sad. It would almost feel like you've wasted your life on this one thing just to have it amount to nothing. And there's no one to blame but yourself. But in reality, you can't blame yourself because you did try, you were trying your best, you just weren't good enough. And I think for April, that would really hit hard. So let's play with that for the sad. I don't know what went wrong, okay? I've been trying, I have been training every single day for this. I mean, I put in extra hours, I took extra shifts at work just so I could buy the equipment and practice every day after school, and I finally get here. I finally have my chance to prove myself, and I can't even do that. Yeah, I think that works really well for April. It's a bit of a hard one to fully feel and experience, even as a listener, because we've all had that moment. We've all had that moment where we feel like everything we've done has been wasted and that we will never improve and we will never be better. And we had our chance and we blew it. And I think that's why it works so well here, because we want to be so in touch with just people and life and make April feel like a person. And I think that's why it hits so hard, but it fits so well. All right, so that is all that we have for April today. Thank you very much to Pim for letting us play with April. It was a lot of fun to be able to do a character that lives in our universe and our world, and I think April was a good embodiment of that. So, as always, remember to go follow the artist down in the description, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!